Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today it's going to be Outrun 2019 for the Sega Genesis, a game developed by Simsco. It was actually not begun as an Outrun game, surprisingly. It was eventually given the Outrun license, and I guess Sega published it, and the final product is Outrun 2019. Despite not originally being an Outrun game, this still feels very much like Outrun from a gameplay standpoint, and it's a ton of fun to play. I actually discovered this one in the late 90s, and it really became one of my favorite driving games on the Sega Genesis, along with the original Outrun conversion, which I did a Let's Play of a few months back, by the way, if you guys missed that. Really fun game here. It does have some drab visuals in terms, compared to Outrun. It's not a whole lot of bright color usage here, unfortunately, but there are some cool scaling effects and things like that. It's got a very smooth frame rate. It even has multi-tiered courses, which is interesting. So, like, you have bridges in a way that go up and off the ground, and you can actually fall off of them. So there's some interesting mechanics like that as well. The biggest difference as well is a boost mechanic, where if you hit a certain speed threshold, a boost will kick in, and your speed will just kick up really, really fast, and you'll go really, really fast. And there's some other mechanics I'll explain once we demonstrate that in games. Let's go ahead and get to the options menu real quick. But before I actually start playing the game, as usual, I'd like to give a big shout out to my current Patreon backers. So thank you guys for your continued patronage. It's much appreciated. If you're interested in supporting the show through Patreon, as little as $1 a month will get you my videos a week early and ad-free. Also going to flash by the recent live stream super chatters. Thank you guys for your direct patronage on the live streams. And so here we go. We've got a few different options here: easy, normal, hard. We're going to play it on the normal difficulty mode. And you can do manual transmission. I actually prefer to just do automatic transmission. I feel like manual transmission in this game, well, you probably have a higher top speed. Doesn't seem quite as useful to me, and you'll probably understand why I think that way once we get into the game. You've got a sound test menu, which is awesome because the game has some pretty catchy music, and that's it. So let's go ahead and jump into the game. This game has 4 courses, but each course is it's not like the classic Outrun where you just go through like one route and then you beat the game and that's it. You actually go through 4 separate courses, or stages as they're called. You can actually get a preview for the later ones right here, and you'll notice how each stage has its own branching pathways and things like that. So there are a lot of different like routes and courses and things like that in this, so there's a lot of replay value. But what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and go from stage 1 all the way up through stage 4. Hopefully we can do this without losing. And what I'd like to try to do here is, oops, I messed up, but if you actually are revving and it's in the yellow, you actually get a speed boost off the line, which is nice. But the boost mechanic is really awesome in this game, and we're going to actually boost right now. There we go. And so now with this boost mechanic, if you want to go ahead and just try to stay on the course, but if we go off the course, it's not a big deal, because unlike the original Outrun, if oops, actually when we're up on a higher road like this, we do need to actually slow down a little bit, because again, you can fall off when you're up on higher roads like this, or on bridges. So I'm going to actually intentionally take it a little bit slower here, because I really don't want to fall off. Something of note also is the first course of every single stage you play is probably the most difficult, because you have the least amount of time to get through it successfully. And if you run out of time, you get a game over and you got to do the whole stage over again. So that was actually really close. Okay, there we go. We got some guardrails right now, which is nice. So what I was talking about with going ahead and going off the side of the course, notice how like I touched an object on the side of the track and I didn't flip over or stop dead in my tracks. So in the original Outrun, when you touch something on the side of the course, you stop or you flip and you lose a ton of time. Your car gets reset back to the middle of the road. Outrun 2019, that only happens if you're not boosting. So if you're not boosting, you do want to apply some brakes every now and then, but the idea is to get boosted and then stay boosted, and while you're boosted, slam into stuff if you absolutely have to, just to keep that speed up. And you guys will see that in motion, in action, very many times over the course of this playthrough. I'm trying to explain this the best I can right now, but I am finding that there's a lot going on right now, which is making it harder for me to talk about the game. You got boost pads like this occasionally, which is kind of gimmicky, but fun at the same time. And there we go. So we slammed into that tree, but we just spun around and we just kept going. So it's a really interesting dynamic if you're used to the original Outrun. I mean, general rule of thumb in classic Outrun is don't touch anything on the sides of the track. But in this, you can touch anything you want on the side of the track, as long as you're boosted. And you'll keep your speed up. So now we're on Route 4. And this first course actually isn't all that long, so we're actually already getting close to the end of this one. And so my goal here is just to get boosted, and try to stay boosted. And if I lose the boost, try to get the boost back as quickly as possible. And you do that by not touching other objects after you've lost your boost. As long as you keep your gas on and you don't touch anything and you don't brake, you will get boosted. But I had to brake right there, unfortunately. Because again, I don't want to fall off these things. I'll end up losing a bunch of time if I fall off. And I'd love to be able to go through this game without continuing. That would be nice. Alright, so boost should be getting up there again. There we go. And we're boosted. Super fast. And you can see how my boost just went right back up as well. Because I kept my momentum. Even though I lost the boost because I touched the side of the course, my momentum and my RPM still stayed up. And so as long as I hit that, I was constantly at that threshold where my boost starts building and charging, my boost is just constantly coming back. And that's the trick to getting through this game successfully. If you try to play it like classic Outrun, you will fail, unfortunately. You will fail miserably. But that's also one of the fun things about this game. It's one of the fun things about this game is playing it as fast as possible. And it's one of the things that really like grabbed me back in the day. Once I got used to the boost mechanic, it like a light bulb clicked in my head. And I was like, man, this game is so much fun. It's not very stressful, I should say. Like, once you get used to the boost mechanic, it really takes a lot of the edge off, to be honest with you. See, that's not good. I slammed into 2 cars. That's gonna lose me a lot of time, unfortunately. And I have to take it, ooh, easy. Okay, this is probably a game over. That's awful. This is probably a game over. I guess we'll see. If I fall off a second time, it's definitely a game over. Now, in this game, you do get unlimited continues, so, you know, it's... You know, if you don't mind continuing, it's not really a big deal. Yeah, we've made a lot of mistakes now. Look at that. We missed the jump, so we're just super slow. We're not going to get past this first course. Six, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ooh, just barely. Okay, we might still be in it. We might still be in it, guys. That was crazy. Crazy close. But you can probably see how, you know, the first course of each stage is the toughest. Because if you make mistakes, you don't have that much time compared to other courses. And I really don't want to touch the outsides of the track right now because I don't have my boost. So I have to watch out for that. There we go. Now I have boost, so I can touch the outside of the track. Touching cars is not the best, though. Alright, let's get boosted. Come on. There we go. Yeah, so... Ooh. Still haven't hit the checkpoint yet. Oh, there we go. Got it. Awesome. Alright, I think we might be good now. I think we might be good. Yeah, one of the really nice things about this game, though, is that it actually looks really good for like a line-scrolling Sega Genesis racing game. It's actually got a better frame rate than the original Outrun does on Genesis. You'll notice that like the track scrolls by a little bit smoother, things scale a little bit smoother. It's obviously still not perfect. You know, the Sega Genesis didn't really have, you know, built-in hardware scaling or anything like that. It wasn't like the Sega CD. And so a lot of like trickery had to be used to get things to scale nicely, to give that sort of like illusion of scaling. And so when developers were able to get things to scale nicely in the Genesis, it was always a treat to see. And Outrun 2019 is no exception. It's a nice looking game in that regard. Again, my big complaint with the visuals in this game are really the lack of, you know, variety in terms of like the color usage. So you got lots of grays, lots of browns, stuff like that. But you know, the way the track moves and the way you sometimes have tunnels and you've got multiple tracks layered on top of one another and stuff like that. And the objects on the sides of the track, you know, they scale pretty decently compared to most other games of this type on the Genesis. Okay, so we have... Oof, I was gonna say we have to watch out for those pits. Those are pits right there. You can actually fall into them. Hopefully falling into one's not gonna kill us. But, yeah. Stopping like this might kill us, though. This is why keeping your boost is really important. Because then you don't have to worry about getting stopped on the side of the track. But you do have to worry about not falling into pits. Alright, we should be close to the end. There we go. Awesome. Wow, we still got it. That was, you know, I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know, it's not really that stressful if you get good with the boost mechanic, but I was sitting there stressing that whole level. All because I messed up on the very first route. But you've got to really be good with your first routes, and then the rest kind of just comes. If you do well in the first route, the rest really just comes. Okay, missed that boost as well. That's okay. Alright, so we're pretty much at the halfway point in the game, although I'd say not quite the halfway point because Stage 3 and Stage 4, they're much longer than Stage 1 or Stage 2. So just like any other racing game, any other good driving game, it's really good to try to take the corners as sharp as possible. So if you see the signs on the right saying, okay, left-hand turn coming up, you know, you want to get to the left-hand side as tight as possible. But you've got to watch out for these quick back and forth turns as well. Okay, I think we're doing okay so far. No crazy jumps or anything. There we go. This is the checkpoint already. That's good. Just gotta get through this section. Okay, that was actually a pretty good first course. First route. That's good. Get that boost back up. There we go. Got it. Notice how there's a lot more traffic now, so you're more likely to slam into to opponents. Alright, almost boosted again. There we go. Got it. So you can see how just slamming into stuff is the way to go when you're boosting. Like, don't even bother braking, because you just lose your momentum completely. But if you're boosted and you hit stuff on the side, you'll just clip right through it. You'll keep going. Slamming in the cars is bad, though, as you can see. So, like, I'm getting boosted a lot, but then I slam into a car and I just lose my boost instantly. Whereas if I slam onto the side of the road, my boost still remains. It's such an interesting mechanic. I don't know if it's really a good mechanic, but I mean, it's how you play the game. And so, you know, play by those rules and it's fun. So you can really see why I just use the automatic transmission. I don't bother with manual, because all I do is just hold down the B button, and then I occasionally let go once in a while and press the A button to tap my brakes. But that's it. Like, I feel like you don't really need anything else. I think if you're competing with yourself or friends for like the absolute best times, then okay, you probably want to play with the manual transmission. Generally, in racing games, manual transmission has higher top speeds. And if you're really good with the manual transmission, you might even be able to, you know, shift up and get up to speed faster if you're really good with shifting manually. But if you're just trying to beat the game, which is usually me, then yeah, you don't really need to bother with the manual transmission. But yeah, if you're like competing with yourself or friends, you know, for the top track times, okay, then, you know, at high level play, it's going to come down to using manual transmission most likely. But for just getting through the game, it's not necessary. Like, I haven't let go of B for the last 3 minutes, I think. Actually, I don't even think I braked at all. On this course. This course has been pretty easy, actually, compared to the previous two, because there haven't really been any pits or anything. And of course, right as I say that, we're probably going to go up onto a bridge or something. Oh, it didn't clip it! That was weird. Interesting. I'm wondering if certain objects can't be clipped, even when you're boosted. Okay, I need to slow down, actually. I was up top. Alright, tunnel time. I like the tunnels. It's a cool visual effect. I will say, I'm a little sad doing this Let's Play because I found out, and I didn't know this until doing this Let's Play, that this apparently started off as a Sega CD game. And while it looks great on the Genesis, you know, they did a great job with the scaling and stuff like that, the Sega CD has built-in internalized hardware scaling. Batman Returns on Sega CD is a good example of a game that really takes advantage of that, and it looks fantastic. I still think it's aged pretty well. So imagine this game on the Sega CD taking advantage of that hardware scaling. There's the possibility we might have had an even better looking driving game. But yeah, it was actually moved off the Sega CD to the Genesis and Mega Drive, and then the Outrun license was received. It didn't start off as an Outrun game. It started off as a Sega CD game, then got moved to the Genesis, and then the Outrun license was applied. And I read on the cuttingroomfloor.net that apparently there was a prototype available that had memory saving, so it had backup save support, so you could save your your best times and things like that. And it was without a doubt chopped out due to cost-cutting reasons. You know, not having to have that battery included inside the cartridge was one less part in the manufacturing process, which is a big shame for games like these that rely so heavily on tracking your times and things like that. There's even a name entry system that if it had battery backup, you could have saved your names, but you can't do that now, unfortunately. So the name entry in this game is kind of pointless. It's really surprising to me that they actually left it in. But, you know, it is what it is. A lot of games did that back in the day, especially arcade games, arcade conversions. You know, they left out battery saving. Even though they still had high score boards, they left out the battery saving, and so you'd power off the system, you'd lose your scores. So, I always thought that was quite a missed opportunity with old games that, either arcade-style games or games that, you know, could benefit from saving scores or times or things like that. Alright, so this is our final course, by the way. This is our final stage. So let's see how we can do here. This is by far the longest one in the game. Definitely want to hit those jumps if we can. Alright, there we go. We're boosted again. Just try not to slam into any of these guys. I touched the side of the road, though, so I lost my boost. But it's okay. You keep your momentum, boost goes right back up. Here we go. Okay, good so far. Okay, I need to not boost here. I intentionally try not to boost when I'm up on these bridges like this. Okay, this guy, that was crap. He was just sitting in the middle of the road, and I didn't want to try to go around him because I knew I would fall off. But I touched him, and it just kind of like bumped me off. Alright, look at that. I touched 3 roadside objects and really didn't get punished for it at all. But you run into the back of a car, you do. We're still making really good time though. We get 20 seconds going into this next section. So that's really solid. Another jump pad. Just got boosted. It's actually kind of interesting. When you go off the jump pads, it feels like your boost rises faster. And we're off. It's okay. We've got a lot of time. As long as we don't fall off multiple times, I think we're okay. One of the cool things about the music too is that the tracks are pretty long in this game. They loop for a very long time. But they continue to change. Like, the longer they play, the longer they go. Alright, we should be getting close to the end here. There we go. And I think we pretty much just beat Outrun 2019. And without continuing at that. So I'm pretty happy with that. I got a little stressed out there in the beginning because, you know, I had a couple bad first courses or first routes on the first couple stages. And there we go. It just says play ending. So that's Outrun 2019, guys. Not the longest game in existence. You know, that took us about, 25 minutes to go through. But it's a fun game. I think if you've never played it before and you like the Outrun series, I do recommend giving it a try. I think it plays really well. It's got some really catchy music. The frame rate is quite smooth. It's a solid game. Unlike the Sega Genesis conversion of Outrunners, which I'm sure someone's going to bring up eventually in one of my Outrun streams and Let's Plays. But yeah, you guys probably won't see a playthrough of that, but I do have a playthrough of the original Outrun for Sega Genesis. I did all 5 routes and got the sort of like the bonus ending that you get for going through all 5 routes in one sitting. So feel free to check that out if you guys missed that. And like I said, if you're a fan of the classic Outrun, but you haven't played this, and you like Mega Drive and Genesis games, and you got a Genesis, I definitely recommend checking this out. It's a pretty common game, it's pretty cheap. Even complete copies, I think, are still reasonably priced on this one. And it's just fun. It's solid. So, definitely worth playing. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing it, at the very least. I mean, if you're not a big fan of this type of game, hopefully you guys at least enjoyed watching it. And, seeing this classic Sega Genesis racing game released in 1993. So yeah, this is pretty much the ending, and your car basically just sort of like flies off the track at the end, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, kind of like I was saying a little while ago, it would have been really interesting to see the original source material for this, because apparently it started development on the Sega CD. And it makes you wonder what kind of visual style they were going for on that, and what sort of processing methods they were looking at using. Because again, the Sega CD has internalized hardware scaling. It's got hardware in the system that is basically built for scaling sprites and things like that. So it would have been really interesting to see this on the Sega CD. Obviously, it would have been really interesting to hear it as well because of the CD audio. But yeah, I got moved to the Genesis and Mega Drive, and this is what we ended up with. So yeah, like I said, really cool game though. Definitely recommend trying it out if you like some Outrun. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So that's pretty much going to do it for me. I don't really have anything else to talk about. So again, hope you guys enjoyed the playthrough. If you're brand new to my channel, consider subscribing. I've got a ton of Let's Plays on my channel and many more to come. Thanks as always for those already subbed, and thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, it would help me out if you gave it a thumbs up, or if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Either way is good with me. And until the next video, guys, take it easy.